Welcome once again to Musings by Danon. The two genres we talk about most on this channel are fantasy and romance. Well, today we'll be discussing the latter. And not just any romance, today we'll be discussing the blossoming genre of mistaken identity romance. Also, and I know it's annoying to keep hearing this, but statistically if I don't ask you to like and subscribe, the video gets fewer subscribers. Oh, one more quick announcement before we get started. I'm streaming on Gaming with Danon as well as Twitch. It'll mostly be Final Fantasy XIV, but you're more than welcome to pop in and talk about manga. Honestly, about half my streams are talking about manga and American Commander. Okay, so what do I mean about mistaken identity? I don't mean Love Hina, where our main character can't remember who he promised to get into Tokyo University with. I don't mean Alya sometimes hides her feelings in Russian, where Masachika knows that his first love was a Russian girl about his age, but there's no way it could be Alya, could it? I'm also not talking about series like Tenosaki or One Trying to Get Back at the Hometown Bullies Another Battle Began, where childhood friends aren't the assumed gender. I guess the best way to explain it would be to give you an example. An example that all of you should be familiar with. The only comic that has sold more copies than One Piece, Superman. Early in the series, Lois Lane falls for Superman. And who wouldn't? He's handsome, strong, and kind. A protector. Meanwhile, Lois hates Clark Kent. He's weak, shy, and never stands up for himself. A loser. Eventually, she realizes that she does love Clark as well, and that starts to gnaw at her. Eventually, Superman tells her his secret and things work out. But we're not here to talk about Superman or other American comics. We're here to talk about manga. So to start us off, we'll talk about the recently completed manga, Falling for Her Secret Side. Falling for Her Secret Side is a story about two kids falling in love while giving each other advice on their respective crushes. Don't worry, I'll explain it. So you've got two main characters in this series. You got Minato Tanaka, the studious boy who spends too much of his monthly allowance on books. So he decides to get a part-time job, which is, of course, against school rules. But his friend tells him not to worry. After a quick makeover, Minato is basically unrecognizable. He's still not sure about this whole part-time thing, but his friend reminds him that he can buy more books, which is all it takes to convince Minato. Of course, he gets hired, but goes by his first name instead of his family name. Minato is trained by a young girl with glasses and a ponytail named Hiragi Rena. And she looks a lot like Saito Rena, one of Minato's classmates. But she has a different last name, so it can't be the same person, can it? The next day, Minato finds Saito's ID and returns it to her. She initially brushes him off, she's always getting hit on, so she tends to ignore random boys calling out for her, but he's insistent. After all, her student ID is important. Japan loves paperwork. That night, Hiragi and Minato are walking home after work. Minato thanks her for helping him out, and Saito asks for some advice. You see, a boy returned something to her today, and she was so shocked that he wasn't hitting on her, that she froze up and didn't say anything. And she would like to apologize and thank the boy, but she's not sure what a good gift would be. Minato recommends sweets. Homemade cookies would be perfect. Not too expensive, but some effort was put into them, and that effort shines forth in an apology. Of course, the next day at school, Saito gifts Minato with a bag of cookies as a thank you, and Minato starts to put two and two together. Eventually. After all, both of them are deliberately looking different from their school appearance so they can have a part-time job and not get in trouble with the school. The best part about this series is that their work personas ask each other for romantic advice so that their school personas can start dating. As it turns out, Saito loves books as much as Minato does, and most of their dates are just sitting around drinking tea, eating cookies, and reading books. Sounds like a match made in heaven. And yes, they both eventually learn the truth. The series is very soft and very low tension, so if you're wanting a delightful and cute read, check it out. Fan translated into Boss, Booze, and Bright Stars, this delightful series is about a 24-year-old girl trying to fill her dad's shoes as the president and CEO of a publishing company. And she's not handling it well. She gets a little aggressive with the newbie. Okay, very aggressive. Ishizumi, a section chief and well-respected worker at her company, tries to keep her focused, but part of him agrees with her. Sure, beating up employees isn't good, but she's right. There's no excuse for delays in the printing business. I mean, if Shonen Jump were a day late, the world would end. That night, while lost in thought, Ishizumi wanders by a park. He hears a woman drunkenly complaining about life, work, and how she just wants to be a baby instead of an adult. Of course, it's the president. And she's down about work. She's worried that people don't take her seriously, and when she overheard someone gossiping about her, she put them in a chokehold. She's trying her best, but maybe this isn't for her. Ishizumi comforts her. He tells her that isn't true. Yes, she's young, but she's taking everything so seriously. So I'll always support you. Of course, this shocks the president. She's flabbergasted, and is worried that he's flirting with her. After all, we just met. How do you understand me so well? We don't even know each other's names yet. Wait a minute. I work for you. Are you so drunk that you don't recognize me? And so begins this adorable office romance, with a young president falling in love with her subordinate, but not knowing who he is. The official release for this series comes out November 2026. Another newer manga, this one follows the misadventures of Student Council President Ukagami Runa, also known as Wolf Senpai, and her incompetent vice president, Tsukiyama Yuga. She is brilliant, hardworking, and punctual. He is a layabout, a shameless flirt, and is always late coming to meetings. Of course, that's just his school persona. He deliberately comes across as someone unreliable so he can leave school early and get to work. He's actually a genius who works hard as a tutor and has no intention of falling in love. He even tutors some college students. And as someone with a hidden side, he's sure that Wolf Senpai also has one. After all, she's a rich kid with no struggles. Her parents buy her whatever she wants, and she's always so strict. So why is she always hard on me? I know. Maybe I'll tease her a little bit. At first, the almost confession does get a reaction from her, but it's quickly discarded when she pinches his cheek. Then again, maybe it did garner a reaction. That afternoon, Tsukiyama stops by home before going to work. His home situation is rough. He's in charge of his 3 younger siblings because their mom's been in the hospital for a year and a half. He quickly makes dinner and heads off to work his part-time job. After tutoring, he realizes that the fancy high-rise he's in is the same one Ukamigama lives in, so he decides to tease her. She buzzes him in and answers the door in casual clothes, and she doesn't recognize him. Tsukiyama lies and says he's a college student working as a tutor, and she invites him inside, saying she was thinking of getting one. And her house is a disaster. Just a complete pigsty. Apparently, Ukamigawa spends all of her energy being perfect at school and just lets herself go at home. She's clumsy, cluttered, disorganized. Exactly how Tsukiyama is at school. Tsukiyama is shocked. He thought she'd be living a life of luxury, but even rich girls have their problems. Since Ukamigawa has an unreliable vice president, she's had twice as much work to handle. He demands she let him help her clean. She finally admits her faults. She's too stubborn and prideful to ask for help. She's lost and doesn't know what to do. After all, Ukamigawa can't let her cute juniors be disappointed in her. Tsukiyama brushes aside her tears and offers to support her. After all, she's been doing everything on her own, so just knowing he can help her a little would make him feel better. Ukamigawa is so impressed by this man that she hires him on the spot to be her tutor. After some desperate cleaning, the two of them sit down for a trial session. He begins explaining a complicated question that is often on entrance exams, and is thinking to himself that he hopes she'll just hurry up and notice that it's him. The two of them have a lovely time studying together, just sitting peacefully, learning and going over complex math questions. And finally, Tsukiyama gets to see her smile. She has let down all her barriers, and he gets to see the real Wolf Senpai. But now he changes his mind. Please never realize it's me. The next day at school, Tsukiyama is summoned by Ukamigawa to the student council room. He knows he's busted and he'll have to confess everything. I mean, look how angry she is right now. The gap between her cute self at home and her terrifying school president face is tremendous. Just as Tsukiyama goes to apologize, she drops a bomb. The tutor that came to her house yesterday? She's in love with him. And since everyone knows Tsukiyama is a playboy with lots of experience and love, clearly he has to help her out with this situation. And so begins one of my favorite current romances. All of us have more than one side. We don't act at work the way we act at a party, at least if you don't want HR to fire you. So Ukamigawa has fallen in love with the smart, hard-working, supportive Tsukiyama. But she hates Tsukiyama at school. She doesn't realize they're the same person, though. And the longer this goes on, the worse the falling out is going to be. Will their relationship blossom into love, or will it explode? If you want to find out, go read Wolf Falls in Love with Moon. Actually, I lied. The series is still ongoing, and we don't know how it'll end. But the most recent chapters have been fire, so go give it a read. Smoking Behind the Supermarket with You is easily one of the best romance manga currently being written. Sasaki is an overworked middle-aged office employee who only has one joy in life: seeing the warm and welcoming smile of his favorite cashier, Yamada. One day, after working late because his boss is unable to manage time and expectations, he arrives at his usual convenience store, but Yamada's nowhere to be found. He buys what he needs, steps outside for a cigarette, and notices a new no smoking sign. He walks away when suddenly an employee that he's never seen before invites him to come smoke behind the store. This girl has a rather sharp appearance. Multiple piercings, a choker. She looks like a punk. But she was nice enough to let him smoke back there, so she can't be a bad person, right? Of course, the girl teases him about always going to Yamada. After all, she's pretty and has big boobs and no boyfriend. Sasaki sputters. Of course that's not the reason. Yes, she's pretty, but her smile is the only thing that makes him happy these days. The girl's relieved. She'd hoped he'd had good intentions. After all, she'd never gotten a creepy vibe from him. The next day, he's back at the convenience store and Yamada thanks him for coming in again. She also mentioned how Toyama said he was a fan of hers. This makes Sasaki nervous. But at least he knows Toyama's name. If only she'd stop teasing him. Well, maybe he'll tell her off the next time he sees her. Quick Japanese joke here. You can see that Toyama is just Yamada backwards. That's because they're the same person. She just decided to play a prank on one of her regular customers. As the manga goes on and she develops feelings for Sasaki, she's not sure how she's supposed to let him know. Especially since most of her coworkers are in on the joke. And will Sasaki ever figure it out? Go read it and see for yourself. Volume 6 of this delightful series comes out in January. This is a manga adaptation of a light novel series. The series starts out with Oni-chan playing a stream and being toxic. He's trash-talking other players, just being as offensive as possible. Quick note on the name. Oni with 2 eyes means brother. Oni with only 1 means demon. So his name is a play on the idea that he's a big brother who's a demon. But the whole thing about him being toxic is fake. He's actually a really nice boy who just pretends to be toxic to get views. And the world finds out when he leaves his stream running and his sister brings him dinner. She teases him about having a script with toxic phrases that he can use in his streams. After all, that kind of language doesn't come naturally to him. His little sister thanks him for working hard. I mean, yes, they're earning enough money from their respective jobs to cover expenses, but his streaming is meant to help cover her college tuition. And then he realizes his channel is still live. Oh crap. It is so over. The next morning, Twitter is exploding with comments about him. He's getting hundreds of notifications. This is the worst. But he decides to face the music. He goes to start his stream and is shocked to discover that he's got over 1,200 people waiting for his stream to start. The stream goes well and chat is overall supportive. Sure, he gets some teasing, which is to be expected, but most viewers are there because they want to help him out. After the stream, Oni-chan, real name Nakayama Haruto, decides to play a couple of games for fun. And it just so happens that he's teamed up with another streamer who goes by the name Ayaya. She's a VTuber with double his subscriber count. The best part is, he doesn't realize she's live. Well, the two of them stream together for a bit and have some fun, and they wind up with some great chemistry together, both in-game and while chatting. Anyway, he has to leave her stream because he has a part-time job, but promised to play with her again sometime. As it turns out, Nakayama works at a cafe. Because he's actually a nice guy, he has a few regulars who stop by to chat. One of them is a college student named Shirayuki, and everyone with eyes will instantly see why this series is now on the list. This one's a little unique because Ayaya starts to develop feelings for Oni-chan, and Shirayuki is crushing on Nakayama. How fortunate that they're the same person. The only bad part about this series is how short it is. Only a few chapters have been translated. But maybe someone will pick it up after watching this video. We can hope at least, right? Crossplay Love Otaku X Punk is about a boy who cross-dresses in order to work at a maid cafe. He's in love with one of his customers, a regular with long black hair. But he's not quite sure how to let her know that he's really a boy. Which is a problem because the girl he's in love with isn't a girl either. He fell in love with the cutest girl he'd ever seen working at a maid cafe, but he was too embarrassed to go in. So he cross-dresses in order to get closer to her. Disaster in the making. The best part is how completely opposite each of their characters are from their cross-dressing selves. Yuma is a gloomy otaku. He even thinks of himself as creepy. Always introverted, only friends with other otaku at school. But when he becomes Hana, he becomes an extrovert. He's almost a gyaru. Meanwhile, Shumei is a punk. Gets in fights, regularly beats up multiple people at the same time. But when he transforms into Mei, he's shy and introverted. Not quite a kudere so much as a refined and demure lady. Of course, the two of them go to the same school and can't stand each other. So they wind up complaining about each other to each other, which causes psychic damage to each of them. But what can you do when you're in love? This is a very cute series with 13 volumes already out, so go give it a read if you have the time. Thanks for tuning in. Once again, a huge shout out to my editor Cute Stuff. I couldn't make these videos without her. If you'd like to hire her to edit your own videos, she can be reached at cutestuff.edits@gmail.com. Link is down below. If you're looking for ways to support the channel directly, you can head on over to patreon.com/Danon. There are several tiers to choose from. You can pick an anime or manga for me to do a video about, or you can join our monthly manga club. I also want to give a quick shout out to all of my patrons. Waffles, Drya, Muffins, Marcus, Brett, Roxy, Alex, Conga, Robert, Pye, Kazaris, Patrick, Tiz, Art, Richard, Sint, Boomy, Osira, Justin, Golden Walker, Captain Hammer, Yori, Sleet, Zach, Mr. Salty, and Hua. You guys are awesome. I post anime or manga videos often, or you can click here to watch additional videos. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time on Musings by Danon.